A small, dimly lit room. No windows, no computers. Just a man, a thick book of rules, and thousands of slips of paper covered in symbols he doesn't understand. Through a narrow slot in the door, people outside slip him new symbols. Questions written in Chinese. He follows the instructions in his book perfectly, copying down new characters and sending them back. Outside, native Chinese speakers read his answers and nod in disbelief. Whoever's in there, they think, must understand Chinese. But inside the room, the man doesn't understand a single word. This, believe it or not, was the thought experiment that cracked open the illusion of artificial intelligence. The moment when one philosopher asked, "Does a machine truly understand, or does it just look like it does?" In the decades after World War II, the idea of artificial intelligence exploded. Scientists built machines that could play chess, solve logic puzzles, and carry on basic conversations. Alan Turing, the father of modern computing, proposed a simple test. If a machine can imitate human conversation so well that you can't tell the difference, then maybe it thinks. It was a time of optimism. If thought could be reduced to computation, then consciousness was just the next line of code. The boundary between man and machine seemed to be fading. But then, in 1980, one philosopher from Berkeley decided to step in. John Searle, and he brought with him a story that changed everything. Searle's paper, Minds, Brains, and Programs, wasn't written in the language of engineers. It was written like a parable. He asked us to imagine a human, locked in a room, given a set of rules to respond to Chinese characters. Even though the person doesn't know, they can simulate conversation perfectly, just by following the program. Now scale that up. That's what a computer does. Inputs come in zeros and ones, it applies to a program, and outputs go out. It doesn't know what it's saying, it just processes symbols. To Searle, that meant, a computer doesn't understand meaning, it just manipulates form. There is no mind behind the machine, just syntax, no semantics. It sounds simple, but this hit AI researchers like a philosophical earthquake. For decades, many believed that intelligence was simply computation, that the brain was just very advanced software running on biological hardware. But Searle drew a line. Understanding isn't just processing symbols. It's about intentionality, the directness of thought, the feeling that words mean something. You can't just get that by rearranging data. So even if a computer could pass the Turing test, Searle argued, it wouldn't mean it understands anything. It would just mean it's gotten very good at pretending. AI researchers were furious. They fired back with what became known as the system's reply. Sure, the man doesn't understand Chinese, but maybe the system as a whole does. The person, the rulebook, the room, together, form a complete understanding system. Others argued that understanding itself might be overrated, that human intelligence is also just rule following, pattern recognition, and learned responses. Maybe there's no ghost in the machine at all. Maybe we're all just walking Chinese rooms, biological computers trained by evolution. And suddenly, Searle's paper wasn't just about machines. It was about us. If a computer can mimic human understanding without actually having it, then what separates us from it? Are we more than our neural programming, or are we just flesh-based algorithms? Processes that evolved to simulate meaning well enough to survive. Searle believed consciousness was different, that it arose from biological processes, not computation, that there's something about being alive, about the physical biological brain, that gives rise to true awareness. But that idea only deepened the mystery. If understanding can't be programmed, where does it come from? Fast forward to today. We have chatbots that can write essays, compose music, even imitate your personality online. We call them intelligent, but are they any different from Searle's man in the room? They process symbols, follow patterns, and output words that seem meaningful, but they don't feel meaning. Every time you talk to an AI, you're peering into the same roles Searle described, and wondering if there's anyone in there. The genius of Searle's Chinese room is that it doesn't just destroy AI, it deepens it. It forces us to ask what we really mean when we say intelligence. Is intelligence about behavior, what something can do, or about experience, what something can't feel? Maybe consciousness isn't something we can build, but something we become. Maybe we'll never find it in silicon, because it was never just computation. It was creation, perspective, and awareness. That's the quiet brilliance of the Chinese room. It reminds us that intelligence without understanding is imitation, and that meaning, real meaning, might always require a mind behind it. So the next time you chat with an AI, remember the man locked in a room, surrounded by symbols he doesn't understand, speaking in a language he doesn't know, yet sounding completely human. Maybe the machine has learned to sound like us, but the question John Searle left us still echoes through our very glowing screen. If intelligence can be programmed, who's really in the room?